everyone, welcome back to the studio. My name is Kaylee. I paint wet on wet landscape oil paintings, and we're here in my studio to do tutorial number 14. I thought we would do a fun landscape scene. I was out at an event this weekend and there were some hot air balloons taken off right at sunrise, and I just thought it would be kind of fun to paint that. So I have a little sketch. I'll show you a better zoomed in version of this. So I have a slight idea of what we're going for: a sunrise scene, distant mountains, and a golden field with the hot air balloons taking off. So let's just jump right into it. To start off on the canvas, we're going to work on the horizon first by grabbing a little bit of Alizarin Crimson and titanium white. Just tap that into a 1-inch brush. I want just a nice bright color right at the horizon. It's been a little bit hazy here, a little bit of smoke in the air, so I thought we would probably try and put a little bit of that. It does make for some really pretty colors, even though you know what it really is. I'm just going to dance some of this in right around the base of the horizon area, and we'll let that work in with the liquid white. Next, I want just a touch of Indian yellow. See, hopefully I'll have a different idea for putting my palette down here, so it should be more visible, but we'll see what we can accomplish today. I just want to add a touch of kind of sunshine, just a touch. Now for this scene, the sun was actually rising on the other side of the valley, and so we're going to imagine that the light source is coming across from the left, and we're just going to see some of the light in at the horizon, just kind of bouncing off the blue. Let's blend that. A big 2-inch brush. And I just really want to soften it and allow it to blend with the liquid white. Okay, let's leave that for now, and we'll go into a clean 2-inch brush and start with the phthalo blue. Tap that into the brush, get a good bit, work it into all of the bristles. We really want to make sure that it's distributed evenly in the brush. And starting from the top, I'm going to put the phthalo blue nice and dark at the top. And we'll work that around. The sky was pretty clear. There weren't really any clouds. There were just a few bits of kind of haziness down at the horizon, so we're going to try and just get these colors in, really cover the canvas. I'm just doing a long X stroke to get this paint in. And we're gonna actually apply some paint to the bottom as well, whatever you have left on the brush. Just cover it. We don't want to waste the paint. Now hopefully you've noticed I do have a new easel today. This is my first time actually trying it out, so I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a break-in. I'm getting some Prussian blue now. So yeah, my first time actually. Haven't used the easel yet. We're doing a first go today. I thought I would just jump right into it like I do with most things. I would rather not sit around and think about how it's gonna work. Just try it. And the same goes for painting a lot of the time, and you try it and see how it goes, and if it doesn't go well, you try again next time. Do something different. But we are working on some lighting to get the easel and the painting lit. Yeah, one step at a time. But hopefully you'll like my new easel. I like it a lot so far. I'm used to having to hold my canvas from wiggling around, and now I don't have to, but I still feel like I'm used to it. So anyway, it's a little weird, but I'm just working this darker blue now, the Prussian blue a little bit on the brush, and just darkening the sky. I mean, the sun was just rising, so it was pretty dark up high. I really want to get that so that this part down here looks nice and bright. So we'll do a little bit more Prussian blue, and I want to get just a tiny bit of midnight black. Nice and dark. Starting from the top again. This is going to be the darkest corner over here since the light is coming from our left. I'm just going to kind of get some of this in across the top and just around this corner. A little bit more midnight black, a little bit more Prussian blue. It's really dark, but we'll blend it out. Just get it in there and get some down on this corner too. Okay, I'm picking back up my other blending brush that I had from this light area. It doesn't have much of anything besides these colors on here, and we're gonna just work it up and down and soften, kind of gray out this in-between area. So we're moving the colors up and down and just getting them to soften, not fully blend together because we don't want to turn it too, green yet. But we just want to introduce those colors a little bit. That little bit of the peach with a little bit of the blues. Just have them meet. Nice. We'll leave that. Pick back up our other brush. That is very loud. And I'm just going to kind of get out some of the paint from my brush. I like to just wiggle it around in a towel. And now we're going to soften out this blue. It's had just a few seconds to kind of sit. And we're very lightly doing a tight X stroke with the brush. This allows the paints to blend together very nicely. just want to soften it. I was getting a little bit of a hand cramp, so I just got some water. Back to blending. Sometimes when my hands are a little tired, I'll choke up on the brush, but I really wanted to have a soft touch up in here right now. So that's why I'm out at the end of the brush. It can just get a little tiring. And we'll just soften all the way across. I really want to bring these colors together before we do our one last blend to really bring it all out. So I'm just kind of bringing out the heavy spots of this paint and just flattening them. We'll bring a little bit of this blue up here. A little more on this side. This is going to be kind of our darker side. Okay, now we're picking. I just got a little bit of the excess paint out of my blending brush. This was the first blending brush we were using. It doesn't have as much blue in it as our other brush, so you want to make sure that you pick up a clean one, clean out your brush, or have multiple. And right now I'm really just going to work on softening this whole sky and bringing these colors together. And I just want it to be super, super soft. And I really want to try and emphasize that this corner over here is going to be the darkest. So we didn't quite apply, there's a little bit of midnight black about to here, but we don't have any in this corner. We're just going to soften it and use kind of our dirty brush to get the look of that gradient that we want. And I'm going to leave mine just about like this. There's going to be a nice distant mountain range in this area. So we'll just work with these colors here, try to get that like hazy look that we had. I might even add just a touch more of Alizarin Crimson on my dirty 1-inch brush. I'm just going to tap into some Alizarin Crimson and just add a tiny bit more kind of dark to this area. That's enough. Then we will soften that out. The mountain is going to largely cover this, but we want to just kind of work in that haze. Nice. Just as the sun is rising across the plains. Let's work some of this, my other dirty brush, just moving some of this dark down just a touch more. Just needed a little more there. And switching my blending brushes again to my slightly more clean one. If you go too crazy with that dirty blue brush, you'll just bring these together into too much of a green. Right now we're kind of dancing on the edge. And before I get too carried away and just piddle this sky to death, we are going to go all the way across, get all the brush strokes out and leave it. I'm going to blend the bottom. This is just going to be some grasses. Like I said, we're doing a pretty simple scene, but the hot air balloons is going to be kind of our feature point. Okay, next I'm going to pick up a fan brush. And with the fan brush, I'm going to get some phthalo blue, Prussian blue, Alizarin Crimson, and midnight black and some titanium white. I want a nice thick bluish color. And we're just going to incorporate all the colors that we've been using to add harmony into our painting. Just get it to whatever color you want. If you want it a little more to the reddish side, a little bit more to the bluish side, that's totally up to you. I was kind of feeling like a rich lavender, a little bit of a blue tones. That's pretty much what they looked like, so I'm just trying to replicate what I was seeing that day. And we'll just start. It was this long range, I don't even know the name, but it was out in Eagle Mountain, Utah. They've got this kind of long range out here that just floats down toward the horizon. So we'll just put it in. And I think we'll have this side a little higher. And then we'll just use our fan brush to kind of wiggle in some ideas of our slopes. You don't have to get too crazy with this yet, but it's nice to kind of just play around and see what comes off the brush. Okay, now that I have kind of this whole top of where I think it's going to be, now I'm just going to work down some of these slopes. It's not too crazy of a little hill over there. But you'd definitely be tired if you had to walk it. And I'm just wiggling in some ideas with the fan brush just to give me a little bit of an outline. Trying to go with the fan brush in the direction that the mountain is going to be falling. Just soften out the base here. We're going to have it kind of misty down at the bottom. I'm going to pick up one of my dirty 2-inch brushes. This is just whichever one you pick up. This one's my more blue one. Totally okay. And I'm just tapping in the direction that I put some of these hills in. Just want to soften it. It's very far away, so I really want to just make it nice and soft today. Okay, let's get some of that paint off on the bottom. And I'm going to pick up my cleaner 2-inch brush. And we're going to just tap out at the base. You can just clean off your 2-inch brush. I'm feeling rather lazy today, so I have 2 going. I'm gonna wipe this one off, picking up a little too much paint, and back into blending. I'm tapping pretty hard here at the base. Making some noise. What's going on, man? Okay. Going across with the blending brush all the way up into the base, and then we'll go up in the direction of the mountain. Nice. Okay, back to the fan brush. We're going to wipe it out. We want it pretty clean. And we're going to use the fan brush to highlight this mountain a little bit. We'll see how it goes. I want to get a bunch of titanium white, and we're going to go right over into this kind of pink color that we put on the sky. Get some of that on the brush. And then let's see if this sticks. We might have to add some liquid white. We're going to start all the way over here on the left and just pull out some highlights. Looks like it's sticking. Ooh, but that's not. The struggles. That seems dangerous. Let's try it. Okay, highlighting, starting from the left. Yeah, totally not gonna work. Just dragging the fan brush down and just kind of letting whatever comes off just stay there, and gonna work with this all the way across, hitting on the tops and on this left hand side, which is where the sun is coming from. A little bit more right there, and we're gonna come back in a little while and add the pops of sunshine, but we really just want to pick out our highlights and shadows, just kind of picking out where the ridges are going to kind of stand so that we can then come back and put some more highlights on them. Excuse me. Maybe just a touch down in there. Keep kind of calling this a mountain, but it is like more of, they're just like kind of distant hills, not really rolling hills. I didn't quite get a good photo of the mountain itself because I was setting up my tent. So I just kind of took a mental image, and now you guys get to see how I take my mental images and turn them into paintings, which is what I do a lot actually. Yeah, I like that. Let's go ahead and take some titanium white and go into our dark mountain mixture. We really want kind of like a more blue color here. Definitely the shadow side. Ooh, that's too blue. Back to the mountain base to kind of brown it back. There is some midnight black in there, which helps in the Prussian blue. So now we've got kind of this bluish color. I want to add some black. Just tapping in to get a variety of colors into the fan brush so that it's all kind of different. And I'm just going to pull out a couple shadows. These are kind of like the high points on the shadows. So we don't need, we have this base mountain color that also works as a shadow color, so we don't want to cover all of that up. We're just going to use some of this to add in more detail, so it just makes our eyes think that there's more going on. Pull out some of the highlights. Grabbing just a tiny bit more titanium white now. We're getting closer to the light source. It is still all the way across the valley, but it was just touching on a lot of the peaks, which is what we'll do next. I'm gonna pop this down, see if that stays, fingers crossed. With my 2-inch brush, I'm just gonna very, very lightly tap out the base and kind of just up a little bit into the paint that we just applied. And then we're going to go backwards and pull it up. Be really careful, but we are kind of pulling a good amount. We want to really soften this out a lot. Do some of these shadow sides. Great. Now I'm going to pick up my palette knife. We're going to add in a little bit more pop onto these. Carefully. We'll see. Okay, we got some color here. Let's just see what this turns into, because it's a pretty cool color. I'm gonna work with that. Got off a little roll of paint, and we will start on this farthest side and just tap on, yeah, that's a good color. Just some pops of sunshine on a few of these. Just try not to upset too much of what you've already got going on there, you know? And if you want to try this with the fan brush, you can do that. Try thinning out the paint a little bit with liquid white, and it should stick. I will show you. I need to clean out the blue, which was like our shadow color that we were just using. And I'm going to pick up some liquid white, some Indian yellow, crimson, and let's go right into this. Now we have pretty much a similar color, and it's thinned down with the liquid white, and you can just pick out, I think we need a little bit more titanium white. It needs to be a little bit brighter, and we can just pull out more liquid white. Few areas of highlight just with your fan brush. You can see it definitely will be different. You won't be able to get it quite the same look as you can with the fan brush, or with the palette knife, but we definitely, you know, we don't want to always paint the same mountains, right? So here is another way to pop on some color. And you could just tap that brush and get a little bit of the color to pop on the top, which looks pretty. I'm gonna lighten this color up even more. Liquid white, titanium white, Indian yellow. Alizarin Crimson, just a touch. And I'm actually just softening out the ones that I put in with the palette knife now, just so that they kind of look the same. I'm just tapping, little taps. I really like this kind of more peachy color over here. So let's try and add some of that. Alizarin Crimson, Indian Yellow, a little more crimson, some white, and we'll just touch a tiny bit of this kind of, it has a little bit more red in it, maybe a touch more crimson. Just in a couple areas, make them pop. Some titanium white, maybe there's a little right out there. Okay, let's leave that. Pick up blending brush and tap out the base just a little bit and lift. Okay, we're gonna leave that. We want to add a little bit of mist down in this area, so I'm going to take okay, titanium white. We're going to tap into the titanium white with the 2-inch brush, get a good bit loaded into the tip of the brush. It's okay that the brush is dirty. And we're just going to mist out the bottom of this mountain. A good bit of titanium white will work really well, and it'll just blend with the colors that we already have up here, and the mountain colors and stuff. This area out where they were doing the hot air balloon festival used to be all kind of farmy areas, so there's a good bit of hills and flat areas, but it just gets that beautiful mist that those areas will have from the moisture rising in the morning. So I really wanted to make sure that we incorporated that, because it's just so beautiful when you're out there and looking out into the meadows and you just see layers and layers of fields and grasses and a little bit of fog and mistiness in between. And I'm allowing the brush to pick up some of this mountain color and just soften it back to gray out this misty area. We don't want it to be too white. We want it to be just kind of gray and misty. Now over on this area, we're going to lighten that up with titanium white and Indian yellow. Tap into that. Kind of let it mix on the brush. Maybe a touch of our other highlight color just to get some of that red. And let's just brighten up this area, the top where the sun is going to be shining all the way across. And I kind of was just going to go in this area, in this front area closest to the sun. Okay, clean out that brush a little bit. Just making all sorts of new messes today in my new little layout. So thank you for being here with me today while I test out this new easel. I'm excited so far. It was a lot easier to set up than my old one. I was pretty bummed, you know, paying a decent amount of money for that old easel that I had in my studio. I'm sure some of you know which easel it is. I'm not gonna say it, but I was really disappointed. It wiggled all over the place. I tried to fix it, and then just always having to adjust it every time that I needed it. It was too much. It was really, really bothersome. So I'm really excited to have this new easel, and then it will accommodate some really big canvases, which I thought would just be so much fun. So I'm thinking about doing some, you know, a few different kinds of videos, just maybe some silent ones of me painting some really big scenes, and, you know, then I can listen to some music. I have a couple ideas for painting a door, which I think would be really fun. So let me know in the comments below if you would be entertained to see some of those big pieces and maybe how you'd like them to be presented to you. It is kind of challenging to paint the really big scenes, so I'm sure I would have the ability to speak through them a little bit like what I'm doing for these that we call tutorials, but I'm really just painting and walking you through what I'm doing. But yeah, I guess just let me know what you think you'd be into, because if I'm doing a really big canvas and it took me all day with breaks and stuff, you know, would you want to see that? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to just hear what your opinions are on that. I'm still going to be doing Tutorial Tuesday, so don't worry, that's not going anywhere. But just thinking of some fun ideas to keep everybody entertained, and then we can all grow together, and we'll see where it goes. So thank you for being here. I'll get back to painting now. Okay, let's move on. Now we are going to kind of pick out our field. It's kind of where I was, just like a pretty flat little meadowy bit. So paint it if you want. Paint it different if you want. I would love to see if you do. Paint an area near you where they do a balloon festival. Maybe you just paint some horses in the field. I don't know. Send me an email, Kaylee@KayleeRakowski.com. I have just loaded a bunch of dark colors: Alizarin Crimson, Phthalo Blue, Prussian Blue, Midnight Black, and actually I'm going to pick up some Van Dyke Brown and just tap that into our mountain mixture, Alizarin Crimson, and why not? Let's pick up a little bit of sap green too. Really nice and dark color, blending it into, so we tap it into the brush, kind of like we're dragging it, and then push it up. And you do get a nice roll of paint on the end. So we'll use that to pick out our little hills. And I'm just tapping the brush. Allowing the paint to blend as we move down, and we'll pick up more paint in a minute. And all of this we will add more to. I'm going to pick up some more paint. We'll add some highlights to it, but I just want to get the basic idea of the way the land was laying. Just some nice little rolling hills, relatively flat, but you can definitely tell that there is, you know, some hills. There's a good bit of rock out in this area. It's really, must have been actually quite challenging in some times probably to farm, given the amount of rocks. It's not as bad as a lot of other areas, but pretty rocky areas. but mostly flat. Pretty much all of the land here, there's, you know, if there's a mountain, then it just kind of all flows to one area. And there's bigger portions of water. So the land at the base of the mountain is always going to be flowing mostly downhill. And so these mountains are coming down, and down over here towards the sun is the Utah Lake, which is where the water will collect. So we're just going to put that in as if this land is kind of coming down towards us. And as we get closer, it's getting flatter. Just tapping in the dark, picking up more of that dark. We have our blues, browns, and blacks. All the colors, all the dark colors in the brush. And we're just covering the whole thing, all the way down. Going to get a little bit more dark, and I just want to work in kind of a bit of a hill more here, a little bit more dark over here. Nice. Now that we've got all of our dark in, we'll add in our light. I want to soften out this back even more just before we put on our highlights. I'm just taking a different 2-inch brush. It can be dirty, just not the same one that you just used to apply this dark color. And I'm just softening a few areas in this background. Now I want to pick up my fan brush. Actually, we'll just pick up that same 2-inch brush, that one you just used to tap out some of the paint. It's got a little bit of dirtiness into it. We'll go into the sap green and our Indian yellow. I'm tapping it into the brush and then pushing up to get that little roll on the end. And the highlight side is coming from the left. So we'll pick out the left of our hills and just tap out our highlight. It's a little tricky sometimes. Get some yellow ochre, Indian yellow, just playing with the yellows and greens, and maybe a little Van Dyke brown. It definitely had more of those kind of, you know, dirt golden colors. The grass is not quite as green. Our summer has been hot. So we'll just pick up some color and dance that in. Just a little here and there. Just gonna soften out the back side now. We're just starting off the highlights. We'll do a little bit more. I'm going into some Indian yellow now. Maybe a little more here. Indian yellow, yellow ochre. Trying to follow along with my sketch so I don't get too far ahead of myself and make these look too tall of hills. Kind of soften that out a little bit. Okay, let's pick up the fan brush now. I have a sort of dirty fan brush and I'm just going to pick up some of the color and I really want to soften this background out. The fan brush works pretty well. I'm just tapping in, allowing it to blend and soften. Now we're going to pick up some Indian yellow and just touch a little bit of pop on there. Do a little over here. Trying to keep it like a little bit more flat. Right over here. Soften. Touch up here. Just working with our colors. Just picking up my 2-inch brush, kind of got a little bit of the paint out and I'm going to soften out a few of these areas. Okay, now back into the yellows here on that same dirty brush. Tap all the way across just our sunny areas. I'm going to push up with the brush now to get some more texture. A little bit of bright red, Indian yellow. Okay, getting my dirty, dark 2-inch brush and just softening those out now. I'm going to pick up my fan brush again and go into the Indian yellow, a little bit of liquid white. And I'm just going to work in a few more layers of highlights. I'm just pushing up with the fan brush, getting some texture to come off. And we'll soften these down. I really want it to feel like there's tall grasses out here. So we'll just pop in Indian yellow, yellow ochre. Let's pick up some Van Dyke brown and bright red. I really want to kind of brown this color down. And I'm pushing up with the corner of the brush and kind of changing my angles. Just allowing that paint to break and get some texture. A little darker now. And let's just tap some of this out. Next, we're going to pick up the script liner. Okay, I'm just going to thin out some paint using just my brush wash and liquid white. We have some Indian yellow, yellow ochre, just a combination of our yellows here. I'm going for kind of a darker one right now. And I'm going to just pull out, I need it to be thinner. You really need the paint to like almost run to be able to get this to stick. So just thin it out until you get that. I'm getting a little bit of liquid clear because I'm having a hard time getting my paint thin enough since I have a lot over here. So a little bit of liquid clear should help thin that down. Let's bring it out over here. And we're just pulling out some grass. Just some details, not too many. Maybe lighten up the color for right here where we've got some sunshine maybe popping through. Just some long hay type grass and just overgrown fields that aren't really used anymore. Some of them are. These ones aren't. And then right down at the bottom, a nice and thin paint so that it sticks. Let's just kind of finish some of this off. Greens and yellows. Maybe our shadow color over here, a little darker. Just soften that with a different brush. With our fan brush, just a tiny bit of Indian yellow, yellow ochre, nice and thin. And we'll just pop in a few places that we're missing a little bit of highlight for. I want to add in some fun little pops of just some other types of little grasses that are going to be going on. So I'm just picking up some liquid white and sap green, just kind of like a greenish color. But we do need the paint to be a little thinner and a little lighter. thinned it out, and then I'm tapping in to that mixture. And I just am going to use the corner of the brush to tap in a few kind of bits of grasses, the like little the little tops sometimes of grass can be all I don't really know what the word I'm looking for, but like this, they just kind of splay out, and maybe you're seeing the seeds up here. But if you spend a lot of time out in the fields, you'll see these just little grasses and different shapes, just some weeds, wild grass. We call them weeds, but you know, they are still sustenance to some animals that do eat a lot of these plants that are out here. Like this area is a little bit more of like our highlight area, so let's work on now a little bit more of the shadow color, going into some of our darker green or darker reds and yellows. We still want kind of like a greenish color, just a little darker, maybe some Van Dyke brown. And we can throw in a few over here, just so it's not left out with the texture, different types of grasses blowing in the wind. I'm just tapping the corner of the brush. Back to the script liner with our thinned out mixture. And we'll do just a few extras right out in the front so that we can really see them. Liquid white. A few more. Let's get some over here. A little darker on this side. And just a few little dancey bits over here. It's just feeling a little left out. And there are just a few kind of rocky bits out there, so I'm gonna add in like a couple rocks over here. Maybe some right in here. Not too much. It's kind of hard to paint this area right now, so we'll leave that. Yellow ochre, Indian yellow, titanium white. Van Dyke brown. There we go. A little bit more of a gray mixture. And we'll just clean up the base with some grass. Just like that. We've got a nice hill, kind of a little meadow. And a beautiful setting for a sunrise, watching the hot air balloons. So let's just get into the hot air balloons. Why don't? Okay, so this is the point where I'm gonna pick out where my hot air balloons are gonna be. And they kind of were taking off almost all at once, but they looked really cool. Okay, let's just do it. Colors. Let's do, I guess, some midnight black and Van Dyke brown. Kind of a dark color. And pick up some titanium white. I'm gonna make kind of like a gray to start. I'm using my sable brush. It's a nice soft brush. And I guess let's just go for it. I'm just picking out a kind of general shape. I'm going to put in a few and just get over this idea of messing it up, because we can make adjustments. So we'll just put them in, kind of making like, they're not perfectly round. They're like little, little eggs almost. They're round at the top and they kind of come down a little bit at the base. But once they get far away, you can't quite tell. They just look kind of ovalish. I'm just using this gray, and I'm going to put in a few ideas of where these hot air balloons were hanging out, and then we'll pick out our, work with our colors a little bit more. I picked up some more titanium white. These are getting further away now. I'm going to put a few out here, that area. I want this one a little bigger. Just taking the titanium white nice and thick on the brush now, and I'm gonna go kind of across this outside edge where our highlight is, the sun is, and just lighten up that edge in kind of like a circle. Semicircle. Soften a little more. This is just titanium white and our gray mixture right on the sable brush. I'm just adding titanium white little by little and allowing it to blend. Okay. Okay, I just had myself a short little break, so we're back now. And I decided, I feel like I just need another one right here. Maybe it's a little further away. But now I have to even out my odds, and we'll do one more right here. And we'll leave it at that so that we don't have too much to kind of, fill in and paint, So, let's think. I'm going to kind of enhance some of the back dark color by taking Van Dyke Brown, Midnight Black, and Prussian Blue, just on the same sable brush. And we're just gonna go around the back side now with the sable brush, because we want there to be a good bit of shadow. Remember, the sun is just rising above the mountains on the other side of the valley. And we're just going to add in this dark blue shadow color, Van Dyke Brown, Midnight Black, and Blue. On the back side of our balloons. These ones are very far away. And build up a little bit of a highlight color with just our gray mixtures here: titanium white, Van Dyke brown, a tiny bit of blue. I'm not adding any more blue, I want to add red. A little bit more red. This is going to be our highlight color, so we're kind of going for a pink, and we're going to use this on our highlight side now to build up our highlights. Titanium white, bright red, okay. Now I'm going to clean out the brush again. Where did I? Oh. Wipe out the brush. Now that I've cleaned out my sable brush, I'm going to pick up a new piece of paper towel. If you're just tuning in, we're here for tutorial number 14. Be sure to subscribe so that you can always be alerted for the new videos. Thank you for being here. I'm just painting a lovely scene. I'm using my sable brush now to Okay, I've just cleaned off my sable brush and I'm going to just softly blend our colors together on our hot air balloons. I just want it to be a little bit softer. And we're trying to kind of get down some of the paint so that we can get our next colors to sit. I'm just softening these two areas together, my highlight and shadow side. These ones I'm just kind of tapping. Okay, we're finally to the fun part. We are going to pick our colors for these hot air balloons. Now I have some pictures of the hot air balloons that were there, so I'm gonna try and make a few of them look like that, but we'll see how it goes. I'm just picking up some titanium white, nice and thick on the sable brush and going into my highlight color. I'm gonna just make this one have a nice white top. So I just want really crisp white with a little bit of our pink color. Now I'm gonna tap into some of our blue mixture and go on the back side. Should be a little bit more grayed down. Wipe it off into the white again, right down the middle. And I'm gonna just tap a little bit of that to soften it down. We'll leave that for a second. Now I'm going to make a bright yellow one. I'm gonna go into the Indian yellow, into my thick white. I'm sorry guys, I know you probably can't see this, but I'll get better on the next one on where the camera is so that you can see me mixing my palette. I'm just using a really bright yellow and let's do this one. Right out on the highlight side. This one's more or less kind of like an all yellow one. So I'm gonna get this whole side and then we're gonna pick up some Van Dyke brown and do our shadow color. Still yellow, it's just going to be dulled out to this kind of a brownish mixture. And get the back side. We'll leave that for now. Now we have another one that has some yellow in it, and it's kind of a sky. So we'll just take our yellow and do a band, get some more. There, and into our shadow color. We'll leave that. Now we're going to make kind of a bluish one. Let's just go into our Prussian blue and midnight black, titanium white. Let's add a little Van Dyke brown. Titanium white. There we go. We've got a nice thick paint. That's our white one. Let's go out and do this one. Yeah, that's enough. Not in the blue to make it blue. I do want it to stand out in the sky still. So we've got the blue going around. Let's get a little bit of a darker blue onto the back side. Nice. I want to lighten this front up a little more. Titanium white, just into that same color. That's enough. Now we'll do a green one. Kind of a blue green, I'm thinking. Little Prussian blue to the sap green. A little bit more Prussian blue. And I'm actually going to use some of this color on some of these over here. They're just further away. They don't really need to have too much detail. So we'll just give them a color. Just kind of tap in that green. Now across this one, I'm going to add this bright green kind of zigzag color that was going across it. We'll see how it goes. A little bit lighter, going into some Indian yellow and the sap green. And then on this other greenish one, I'm going to add some yellow, titanium white. I'm going to wipe out my brush. Okay, my brush is cleaned. Well, just it's wiped out. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of our yellow, Indian yellow, and titanium white. And then across this one, we're gonna do kind of a little checker. Get some red, go into our mixture. And I'm just kind of adding in some ideas of color. Then we're gonna need some red on our little, this one was kind of like a sky. It was so cool. And I probably won't do it justice on painting it, but I'm gonna do my best. There was like this red bit here, it was like really sunsetty sky on a beach. Pretty cool actually. And then at the top, it's gonna get a little darker for like, you know, sunset feel. Darker still. Let's do some blue. And then we'll blend that in. Wipe off the brush again. And right at the base of that, we're gonna do some titanium white and our blue mixture. I want it light blue right here at the bottom. More blue, darkening it right at the base. Okay, let's wipe out that brush. Okay, I've kind of cleaned out my sable brush a little bit. I'm just going to soften this area by just tapping with the sable brush in between our colors and just bringing them together. Okay, I'm picking up a script liner and I'm going to go into some liquid clear and some of my blue mixture, the dark blue mixture, and I'm going to just make an outline of our back side of the balloon. Now I'm going to thin out some darker paint, kind of blue-black mixture, and we'll see. I don't know if this is gonna work, but this was like a beach scene on the hot air balloon, and it had a palm tree, which was pretty cool. And so I'm gonna put in a little idea of a palm tree. Then there was a sailboat. I'm gonna actually do, because it had like a few palm trees. Just putting in, like, I guess just some ideas of this. They're in the sky, so you're not going to be able to see like a huge amount of detail, but I want to give an idea of some of this because you could totally see it and it was way cool. So and I'm super into beaches, so being up in a hot air balloon, which I've never done before, probably would be really cool. And there's just like this beach scene on a hot air balloon. I mean, come on, that is just the coolest thing ever. So let's go ahead and kind of get this idea of a water line there. I want to darken some areas down at the bottom. I just got some dark blue. And then I'm gonna just blend it with this brush. They have these sort of like windshields on the back side of them here. Okay, now I'm gonna pick up a new script liner, go into the liquid white, just get a little bit of that, and I'm gonna go into Indian yellow and kind of make my bright yellow mixture again. And just around the outside, I want to pick up a few, maybe in here we'll add a little more liquid white, lighter now. Into the red. Let's match our colors. And a little crimson into that same mix. It's just a touch darker now. Okay, now this is the moment of truth, maybe, I don't know. I'm gonna take my sable brush and just tap a little bit here. That's enough, that's good. Down here maybe. There we go. And I want to add in a few kind of our, like, the little lines that are the seams of the balloons. So I'm starting with a dark color, thin down on my script liner, and we are going to first add this dark bit to give us the right shape on the bottom. And just blend it a little bit more dark, nice and thin now. And let's just see if we can get maybe these ones are a little lighter. Let's do like a liquid white with that gray mixture. Maybe a little more white. They look a little lighter in the photo, like they're white stitching. But this is what we have. So going across, we have some, they should be kind of going this way. And down. Yeah, I don't know if I butchered that or not. Let's just wait and find out, I guess. I'm going into the liquid white. I just want to lighten it up even more, and I'm just going to pull down a couple ideas of the strings. Then we're going to put in the bucket with the sable brush, Van Dyke Brown. and a little bit of titanium white, just a light brown mixture. The baskets are pretty small. Okay, gonna pick up my handy dandy knife and mix up a tiny bit of bright yellow I've got a nice bright yellow here. And clean off the knife. My goodness, such a mess today. With a little bit of this, I'm gonna just touch on the outside edge, and then again, like right in the middle, this section here. I want this section to pop. Maybe a little bit of our red. Okay. That looks all right. We'll leave that and maybe we'll come back to it and do some more. But I figured this was going to be kind of hard to put the colors on, but I really wanted to try. So we're just going to play with these colors and see how we can get, you know, the hot air balloon, I guess, look. Because I've never painted one before. So instead of just painting one, we're doing a bunch. I'm going to try some of these dark lines. I just have a thin dark blue mixture, and I'm gonna do the seams down. And let's grab some liquid white into our light green mixture. And we'll just put in a few highlights. I wanted even a brighter green, kind of a greenish yellow. Just wanted to have some like yellow spots on it. It's just like a yellow and green hot air balloon. With the liquid white on the script liner, we'll thin it down and just go across the outside edge. This next one. We'll give this one a basket. Let's fix this here. I think we need a little more liquid white right here. Okay, now we'll do a little basket. Just get some brown on the sable brush. Not too bad. Let's try this one over here. Actually, we'll do that one. I'm going to add in, let's see, this one has kind of some green down in this first. It's kind of like a rainbow gradient on this one. It was really cool. I'm getting a darker green, and we'll just add some darker green, then some blue. A little bit more blue, some black, just a nice dark color. Some green again. Liquid white. Go into some blue. Okay, now we want to get a nice thin kind of a gray mixture. Okay, I'm taking some of my bright yellow mixture. Just want to get the right roundness on here. Go back into the reds. Bright red. And now we'll mix up a little bit of a gray, kind of a gray blue. You've got some red and some blue. It'll just kind of gray it out. And we're gonna go across. Let's start on this back side and get our shape. Do a few more of these. On this side. And now we'll go around. I want to pick up some tight liquid white, go right with a nice bright color. Liquid white, titanium white, it should be a nice gray, a bright gray mixture. A little more liquid white. And we're just going to touch on the highlight sides. Down the basket. Okay, I have some nice crisp liquid white here, going right around the outside and then bringing some of that in. Just tap and bring out some highlights. All right, we're almost done. getting some of these hot air balloons filled in. I'm gonna add just on the script liner some nice yellow. We're just gonna put in some colors on this one. It's kind of further away, so we're not really gonna notice it. And we'll just do the same kind of some yellow green over on these. Maybe a little bit more blue. Just this one is just so far away. Little bit a lighter mixture here. Just kind of giving some ideas of the details without doing too much. Just a little hint of their shape. Pick up some brown and fill in their baskets with a little darker color. Let's do this one around the back side. A little bit over here. We'll give it the lines like it's little seams. Back side. Now I really just want to give you an idea of how you could do something like this. Most of my paintings are just first attempt paintings. I think about what I'm gonna do and build up an idea in my mind and try and put myself there so that I can be prepared to paint it. But I don't always, I don't do like multiples all the time of paintings, and they don't always go quite as planned. So I just wanted to show you some fun ways to just try out your ideas and just get them out onto a canvas, because you'll be much happier if you just try than if you just constantly think about what you could be doing. Just try it and you'll see if it works, and then you'll be able to watch your painting dry and see if what you tried did work. So I hope you try and do something different. This is definitely totally something different than what I normally paint. I don't paint hot air balloons, but I've always wanted to. I thought it would be really cool. So here we are, we're just trying it, thinking about shadows and highlights and just playing with those colors until we get that look that we're hoping for. And then just, being good with that. Just working these colors around. There was this really cool one. He had kind of like it looked like there was like a snake going across it. just a little design that I thought was neat. I went up and it kind of changed colors. So we'll see if I can get it to kind of, I just added some crimson to the brush, a little bit more crimson, and now just back to like a mixture of the yellow. Get just an idea. Some yellow. Liquid white. We're thinning down this paint into just a nice thin light pink, and I'll use that just to put in some of our balloon features. I'm just really lightly pulling out some of the paint, almost not even letting this paint stick. It's just pulling out some little features. And I want to get a nice bright yellow, getting mud. Liquid white. And just some of our yellow colors. It's a little more orange than I wanted, but we'll try. We'll put some of these in the middle here. And clean that off, liquid white. Really bright now. And we use that on our highlights. Now I'm going to just pull this nice thin light color around the outside here, down into a basket, and around the back into a basket. Then we'll pick up the sable and our browns. And we need a basket over here. I'm going to build up a few of these colors just a little bit more with my palette knife. Just going to go right into this gray white mixture and add some to our balloons. Maybe this light yellow. I just really want these to be more colorful, so I'm just going to kind of go for it here. Some red. Some crimson. Bright red. Yellow. Now I want more of like a bright yellow. Let's see if I can get that going. And then we did lose our palm tree, so maybe we can put that in with the knife. I'm just scraping out an idea with the palette knife. These balloons, they seemed so bright and vibrant, so I really wanted to try and do that, but I definitely am having a hard time, just being that, you know, I've never painted a hot air balloon before, wasn't quite sure how best to get my paints to layer and how much texture I wanted. So we're just going to play and add some more colors on some of these. Just until we get some more contrast. Just grabbing all of our different colors and putting them in appropriately on our shadow and highlight sides. Some bright yellows. We need some of those in this area. Maybe a little of this grayish yellow. A little more of the dark. And then we'll work in a new, fix this palm tree here. Whoever thought we'd be painting a hot air balloon with a palm tree with a palette knife, but that is exactly what I'm doing. I gotta put this boat back in because that was probably my favorite part, the sailboat. Maybe some bright red and white, like a little bit of a lighter bright red, just right across here. And some red in this one. Let's do some of this yellow kind of gold highlight on this one way out here. Some green. Now we want to add a little bit of pop out to these ones way out. Just whatever old highlight color, a light color, and we'll just give a few light round pulls on this right side, just to add the idea of some lightness over on that side. We'll do a little on this one. This one needs just a few, like a more idea of its seams again. And this one too. Okay, we're gonna highlight with a little bit of our bright highlight orange kind of color. Just do these little baskets. Just a little tap on the highlight side. Okay, and then there's one other little, sometimes you'll see some cords, just a few extra hanging on. Just clean this up here. I really don't want to ruin it, so I'm gonna just do like a tiny bit more. I have a little light blue. Just saw this spot. I think it needed to be lighter there. I think I'm gonna just stop here and sign it. I'm gonna take my script liner. I'm going into my liquid clear and my brush wash and thinning down just some bright red. I'm just going to sign it down in the corner. How about over on this corner? I'm so indecisive today. Just a little signature. Thank you for hanging out with me today in my studio for tutorial number 14. I thought we would do something different and fun. I've never painted hot air balloons and I've always wanted to. I have some ideas for next time, and hopefully it'll go a little bit smoother. And I just hope that you enjoy watching this video. You give it a comment, thumbs up below, and be sure to subscribe so that you'll always be notified every time I do a new video. I also was testing out my brand new easel. This is the Best Santa Fe 2. I like it so far. It's really nice. It's got these rubber grips for the canvas, which is pretty cool. I did make a little bit of a mess. It's my first time using it and it's already dirty. So yeah, thank you so much. This easel, I wouldn't have been able to afford it if it wasn't for this YouTube channel. So I really appreciate you all being here with me, and keep giving me those thumbs up and views. Please share it with your friends, and definitely hit up my website, KayleeRakowski.com, to see more. You can also book private lessons with me. I do them over the web or in person in Salt Lake City, Utah. You can contact me at Kaylee@KayleeRakowski.com. Thank you so much for being here. Smile and be happy, friends.